And that spec house, I made the down payment. I bought the materials. I leaned on that building inspector. You with your thumb up your ass. So stop talking about your money. Built a piece of shit house that's gonna cave in and kill that fucking unborn baby any day.
Get Pudgy Walsh on the horn. He'll straighten this out.
Pudgy Walsh retired, sir.
Oh, come on.
They say Carmela built a house that was doomed to collapse on her cousin's family. Here's what the show really tells us about that. Welcome to Sopranos Breakdown. I'm Matthew, and joining me today is Matthew. Together, we'll break down the world of Tony, Carmela, and the rest of the crew, uncovering hidden details and diving into the deeper meanings of every episode. Let's get started. Honestly, Carmela's quietly terrible sometimes, and that's what makes her such an interesting character. She's not all bad. She's also your classic, relatable mom with good sides. But let's be real. This house? It wasn't just technically not up to code, it was a disaster waiting to happen. See, Carmela's dad was the contractor. Same guy who built her own house, which, surprise, surprise, wasn't exactly a paragon of modern construction standards either. So of course, the cousin's house was slapped together with the same shoddy materials and questionable workmanship. It's not that the place was a guaranteed death trap. More like a slow-motion disaster with a roof and basement that might start leaking any day now. But Tony? Oh, Tony ran with the house is gonna collapse on the baby line just to mess with Carmela's head. Classic Tony cruelty. The real tragedy. This money pit will probably tank the cousin's resale value. Just imagine the engineer's inspection when it comes around. Unless they manage to bribe or convince the inspector, which, let's face it, is how things usually go in their world. Get Pudgy Walsh on the horn, they say. Only problem? Pudgy Walsh retired ages ago. Bureaucratic nightmares. Remember that one scene where Carmela's tossing and turning during a thunderstorm, clearly losing sleep over the house? That was the rare moment she showed she actually felt guilty. So yeah, she knew it wasn't perfect, but it's not like she intentionally built a death trap. Cutting corners? Sure. Greedy? Absolutely. But she was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Tony's tight leash left her no choice but to rely on her argumentative, incompetent dad to save some cash. Of course, the back-in-my-day logic flies around a lot, like the idea that building codes were just newer, fussier rules that builders like Carmela's dad ignored because we've always done it this way. Pudgy Walsh knew how to play ball with that kind of thing, turning a blind eye to unsafe practices, and it's not like builders back then faced the same scrutiny. But Tony? He leaned hard on those old-school guys to cut corners, probably pressured Carmela's dad himself when building his own house. That utility-grade pine. About as reliable as a cheap lawn shed. Look, every builder uses some utility lumber, but the devil's in the details. How much, where it's placed, and how it's attached. The show probably didn't get those nuances right, but the overall vibe? Spot on. And let's not forget, Carmela wasn't exactly a saint here. She wanted the project done right. But when push came to shove, she chose the quick payout over fixing the mess. Classic, cut corners, cash out move. Still, she's no villain mastermind who built a collapsing house just to kill her cousin's family. That's pure Tony rhetoric designed to guilt-trip her. This whole saga also highlights a bigger issue, the power imbalance. Tony's the boss, controlling the money, the projects, and really keeping Carmela boxed in. She leaned on her dad because Tony made sure she had no other choice. The house's shaky construction isn't just a sign of her bad decisions. It's a symbol of the limits placed on her by a world designed by men like Tony. And honestly, people love to obsess over Carmela's flaws, forgetting the context. It's like how folks treated other women trapped in abusive or controlling relationships, hating the woman for being complicit without seeing the oppressive system she's trapped in. Carmela's not noble, but she's a mirror to the hypocrisy around her. In the end, the house probably won't collapse overnight, but it's definitely a riskier bet than a code-compliant build. Unethical and shady? Sure, but guaranteed disaster? Nah. More like a house of cards built on utility pine and old promises, waiting for the right storm to shake it loose. And that, my friends, is why Carmela's both terrible and fascinating, always walking that line between flawed and relatable, guilt and survival, cutting corners and trying to keep the family afloat. Why dragging innocent people into mob drama is the fastest way to get them killed. And Carmela knew it. How dirty was it when Carmela made Meadow drag Finn into the whole Vito mess? Seriously, she got Finn tangled in Mafia drama, made his name and face known to the big shots, all over some serious accusations. The poor guy had to stand there, recounting what he saw in front of 10 gang captains. Why on earth would Carmela do that to Meadow and her fiancé? Meadow knew exactly who her parents were. Carmela's the type who acts like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, but she's not stupid. Everything Meadow told Carmela was basically a direct pipeline to Tony. And somehow, AJ comes out as the most likable Soprano by the end of the series. As dumb as he was, at least he was honest about being dumb. Yeah, the kid was a clueless, useless sack who couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. But hey, at least he wasn't a hypocritical borderline sociopath. Gotta give him some credit there. Likeable? Maybe not. Least hateable? Definitely. Now, about Carmela. She's the real villain here. The term you're looking for is malignant cunt. We both know it. Sure, boo-hoo, Finn had it coming. Carmela thought she'd score some jewelry or a new car by stirring the pot. Turns out all she got was a Hyundai and a little gold chain. Lexus? Nah, she's still spelling it wrong. Want to be a funny guy too. Watch out, you're close to product placement territory. Seriously, social club? Yeah, he's gotta go. Carmela and Meadow were swimming in self-delusion, gossiping their way into implicitly getting a guy murdered, all while pretending to understand how serious this was. Carmela had nothing going on in her life except gossiping and stirring the pot. When Angie breaks down, Carm and Rosalie play the supportive friends. But once they get home, gossip central. Once Vito got caught at the club, these women felt zero responsibility to keep quiet. Gossiping was their new sport. They wanted Vito dead. It made them feel alive. Meanwhile, Finn got a sandwich and a soda out of the ordeal. Was it just any soda, or his favorite? Honestly, anyone would kill for a sandwich at Satriale's, so can't blame the kid. Carmela had no clue what was really going on. She thought Vito would be whisked away to some nice place on a hill with Adriana and her uncle. Another witness protection victim, courtesy of Carmela Soprano, criminal mastermind. Actually, it's their uncle, not hers. Vito and Adriana were Richie's sister's kids. Don't forget the twin Gino. Yeah, that's the family tree. And let's be clear, Tony's cousin Christopher was engaged to Adriana, who was Vito's cousin and Richie's niece. Family reunions must have been awkward. Now, back to Carmela. Despite her squeaky clean act, she despised gay people more than Tony ever did. Tony admitted to Melfi that as long as the gays kept to themselves, he didn't care. Carmela? Everything's gay to you, she'd snap. And that accusation Finn made about Vito, that was the smoking gun that saved Finn's life. If Vito had convinced everyone it was a lie, Finn would have been dead for sure. Couldn't they have just found the security guard to confirm? Sure, but that's not how this works. Carmela and Meadow risked Finn's life by spilling the beans, but ironically, telling everyone actually saved him. Because once the truth was out, they greenlit the hit on Vito before he could silence Finn permanently. The women didn't make things worse. The cat was already out of the bag. And Meadow? She knew damn well her mom was going to spill it all to Tony. She walks around like she's innocent, but she's fully aware. Saying it in front of Rosalie, a total stranger who would spread the news. Reckless doesn't even begin to cover it. Finn should have bailed the second Meadow got him mixed up in this mess, but the kid was in too deep. Carmela knows exactly who Tony is and what he's involved in. Vito was a liability, a security risk. If Tony kept someone like Vito in the crew, people would end up dead over dumb shit. Better that Carmela's husband knows what he's dealing with. When Tony told Carlo about Vito, Carlo just dropped his head. No shock there. Carmela was always a shadowy villain, pulling strings quietly. Meadow claiming Finn made the whole thing up? Medium amount of slander, to say the least. Best moment? Finn explaining Vito, bobbing up and down on the shaft. Classic. Vito pretended to be straight by hitting on Adriana while Christopher was away. Carlo knew and was pissed. Carmela didn't want Meadow marrying Finn, so maybe dragging him deeper was a way to scare him off. Carmela hated the gays, lived in the closet, devious, always plotting. In their world, Vito's secret was big news. The women definitely got him killed, but Roe would have spread the word anyway. Finn walked away with a sandwich and a soda, while Christopher promised Vito would get therapy. Right. Besides, Vito was a murderer and a thief. He got what he deserved. The women in this show? They're like Toshiro Mifune in Yojimbo, playing gangsters against each other. And those sandwiches? Yeah, Northeast deli subs are amazing. Pastrami? Not at Satriale's. That's a pork place. You gotta hit up Milburn or Short Hills for the real deal. Finn should have asked for sandwich money and a ride to a Jewish deli. Pastrami sandwiches? That's nonsense. Just a racket. The cat was out of the bag. Maybe Meadow was testing Finn. Can you hang with this family long term? Can you handle the crap? Are you loyal enough? She knew the truth would reach Tony eventually, so why risk Finn? The guy just wants to be a dentist. By this point, Meadow had been in the game long enough to know better. She's no fool. Telling Carmela with Rosalie in the room was reckless. If it was just between her and Carmela, maybe it'd be different. But sharing with a stranger who'll gossip? That's pure stupidity. Tony Soprano isn't just a ruthless mobster. He's also one of the most emotionally fragile characters on TV. Here's the brutal truth no one talks about. What's your favorite Tony moment? I'll start. Season 4, Episode 5. It's raining cats and dogs. No, really, a full-on storm. Tony's in the stables, pie oh my lying in the hay. He pulls out a cigar like it's some sacred ritual. A baby goat wanders in. Suddenly, my rifle, my pony and me, plays softly. Tony cracks this faint, almost wistful smile, a glimmer in his eyes, like he's thinking, this is what it's all about. Pure magic. But then, nothing tops the brutal moment when Tony curb stomps Coco. My fucking daughter? That's Tony's idea of heroism. Speaking of narcissism, remember when Tony coldly tells a tearful Furio to get over it about his father's death, then immediately breaks down crying to Melfi over a stupid horse dying? David Chase never missed a chance to show these guys as classless fools. And the dinner where Paulie brings his mom and her friends, and they start scavenging the table like it's a free-for-all? Hey, those roles were for his ma. Mob manners at their finest. Chaotic and barely sane. The funniest part. Tony thinks Carmela's upset over the horse, when really it's Furio she's bothered by. Both silly reasons, but typical family drama. Then there's the dinner, where Tony brings up Harpo and pisses off Janice. Classic narcissist move. Can't stand his sister's emotional growth, so he destroys the moment. That sly smile as he walks away. That's when you realize, this guy's beyond saving. The outro song fits perfectly as Tony storms out of that dark, claustrophobic house into a bright suburban street. But he stays in the shadows, a dark force invisible to the cheerful world. The lyrics say it all. I won't take all that they hand me down and make out a smile though I wear a frown. That scene screams Tony's soul, trapped, bitter, and all too human. Janice, now there's a mess. After her mandatory anger management, she puts on a fake "I'm better now" act. Tony calls her out because, honestly, she's probably worse than both him and Livia combined. Just because she's playing nice doesn't mean she's redeemed. Yes, Tony's sabotage was cruel, but Janice hardly deserves sympathy. She tried to get Richie to kill Tony and take over the family. "It should have been you," she said. Her self-improvement mostly comes because Bobby threatened to leave her. If Bobby dies or loses status, Janice's true colors will show again. Tony hates that Janice even pretends to improve. He's bitter and would rather drag her down than let her succeed. Classic Tony. If he can't get better, no one can. Then there's Tony's weird love for animals, way more than humans. Like when Chris accidentally sat on Adriana's dog, Cosette, during a chaotic intervention, and Tony freaked out. That's Tony, ruthless mobster but soft spot for pets. Also, the scene when Tony asks Silvio what happened to Gary Cooper and Silvio replies, "He died?" Tony's reaction is priceless, like, "Wait, what? Chris and Patsy exchanging looks?" Comedy gold. Don't forget the motherfucking orange peel beef moment or Janice's cold-blooded shooting of Richie. No warning, just bang. Tony's smirk when he finds Richie's body, pure perfection. And the boss moment when Tony tells a kid in a restaurant, "I'm the motherfucking one who calls the shots. Now you better pay me the respect I gave your brother, or we're gonna have a problem. A big one." Or when he shuts down nostalgic chatter with, "Remember when is the lowest form of conversation." That line sums up Tony. Controlling, emotionally stunted, always needing to be the top dog. One of the best touches is Tony's baffled confusion when AJ looks different, like a classic "wait until your father gets home" moment. Completely disarming and hilarious. There's also the rare tender moment. After the hospital, Tony tells Carmela she deserves credit for his recovery. For all his bullshit, moments like that show there's something real beneath the surface. So yeah, there are tons of iconic Tony moments. Whether he's stuffing his face with gabagool, ranting about Uncle Ben's food, or dropping wisdom like "those who want respect, give respect," Tony is a walking contradiction, a brutal mobster with a messed up heart, a selfish narcissist who's sometimes strangely relatable. And honestly, that's why the show never gets old. Here's the brutal truth they don't want you to hear about mob clean jobs. Tony B claims he did a clean job on Joe Peeps. Clean? Come on. He gets his foot run over, kills the Safusa who was with Joey, leaves brains and silicone splattered all over the place, and still gets spotted by bystanders. You really want credit for that? That's a joke. To the victor go the spoils, sure, but this isn't some popularity contest. Honestly, it's depressing and embarrassing. Meanwhile, 40K for a bird feeder, you have to wait for that payoff. You have to. He wanted a clean hit, but totally compromised. Instead of being tidy, he turned it into a bloodbath and made a complete mess of it. You should have seen the hijacking he pulled off 20 years ago that landed him in prison. And yes, that's been brought up before, but let's be honest, it's not flattering. Should have seen how badly it went down. Why do you always ruin the punchline? Clean by his employer Kim's standards. What a joke. Mickey Farrell? Whatever happened to him? A drunk Irish guy taken out by cirrhosis. God rest his soul, the whole Tony B story is pretty hilarious. Tony S likes to brag about acing an aptitude test years ago and thinks he's smart. But everything he's done since prison has been one short-sighted mistake after another. No long-term strategy, just dumb moves. Tony B was book smart but street stupid, lacked common sense. Prison didn't prepare him at all for life outside. Sure, he showed some planning, getting a therapy license and starting a business, but the lure of fun, gambling, drinking, and flashy suits was too strong. He seriously needs to stop taking lithium. Mobsters lie about clean jobs. Family names Clinciarelli. Ever have someone die in your arms? A family member? Someone you cared about? I even heard he left the seat askew. Talk about attention to detail. That guy's reaction when he saw the gun. Not even a clean kill. He killed a civilian too. Peeps is just a nickname, nothing fancy. This was never about doing a clean hit because I'm the boss. Tony, that animal Blondetto, was set up by Mickey Farrell and also took out the call girl. Johnny would never have accused Tony B if the job was actually clean. Tony B doing Joe Peeps? Seriously? The meds he was on messed with his head. He could probably get a doctor's note for that. That character was a total mess. Everything about him was off. Casting Buscemi as Tony's cousin, they look nothing alike, and the character felt wasted. The whole casting timeline was a mess. He looked like a weasel, not believable at all. And the massage therapy subplot, completely over the top. Why? Because he wasn't smart. And yet, somehow, people talk about his high IQ like it means something. James Gandolfini wasn't just a mafia boss on screen. What they don't tell you about the man behind the legend will surprise you. Jamie Lynn Sigler trusted Gandolfini. She said he was the first person she told about her MS diagnosis, and he promised to keep it a secret. Turns out the guy was a good soul off-screen. Surprise, surprise. We like to bust balls, but Jimmy was old school. No need for him to explain himself. Spare me the conspiracy theories. No skeletons in his closet. Back when Moses wore short pants, he was a good fella. Always wanted to be a gangster. Better than being president of the United States, if you ask him. Living any other way? Nuts. That was his bread and butter. Born a poor black child? Nope. He remembered sitting on porches with family, singing and dancing in Mississippi. Navin R. Johnson? That sounds like a typical bastard. Jimmy? A saint. No need for more religious imagery, and please don't make the same tired joke every time this topic comes up. Did you hear Meadows in MS-30? Really? Saw the movie, thought it was nonsense. Those guys pointed their machetes right at us. She fools around with MS-13 and you're yelling at me? What is this, a Girl Scout troop? Classic. Meadows in MS-30. Yeah, right, like that ever happened. What's French-Canadian for? I grew up without MS. Sacre bleu, where's my diagnosis? Your generation's standards must be pretty low. Long hair, drugs, weird sex. Some people just go too far. Now that's over the top. No need to be that dramatic. LOL. And he was the boy's doctor. Ever wonder if it's a coincidence Meadow got MS? Quasimodo predicted this. She could have taken ecstasy but didn't. It's bittersweet. Always like that in small towns, I guess. He was close with Fielder, Michael Imperioli, Joe Pantaliano. These guys always catch you off guard. They're so good at acting, you'd never guess they're not bigoted psychos in real life. Jimmy was the best guy around. Forgiving, even after the lies about the Mafia. Oh, Jimmy was a saint. It'd break his heart to see me now. He discovered Jamie had MS and kept it secret. That's what friends do. In this house, James Gandolfini is a hero. End of story. Strong, silent type. Sure, a saint, if you forget the 1,000 incidents. No surprise, he was the biggest coos hound around in the last few years. Is that all anyone here talks about? She couldn't even bring herself to tell that animal Blondetto she was just a kid. Couldn't even say his name. Man among men, Meadow Soprano, multiple sclerosis. Both mess. Ever think about that? Quasimodo predicted it. Vito got pondered, if you catch my drift. She had surgery, both her uteruses got pierced. Loved the man. But bragging about her monkey scrotum? Really? I saw him do drugs. It looked like powder. You can be deeply flawed, self-indulgent, temperamental, and still be a great person. He cared deeply about those around him. As he wrestled with fame, he understood what those kids were going through. Trusted Gandolfini. What's he want? A boutonniere? He had no intention of sticking his nose where it didn't belong. Nobody's got MS like that. Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.